two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, and distributed network architecture. So now one-tier architecture have different names, which is standalone or desktop applications. See, when I ask the definition of this one, giving the other names is not the definition. What exactly is this one-tier architecture is what I'm asking. Now, two-tier architecture, this would be called as client-server architecture. What is the client-server architecture? And three-tier architecture, which is called web applications, web apps. And now, in this particular web architecture itself, probably we will be having, means the people will say that there are another architecture which is called mobile apps, or it can be fall into these particular layers also. It depends upon the web application which we have been created. The web app which we have been created, it may fall into the two-tier or three-tier. It depends upon on what purpose we created that particular thing. Because sometimes mobile applications can fall into this one-tier architecture also. I'll give, means once after in the last discussion, you can understand how this can fall into the one-tier architecture or three-tier architecture. So there we will be discussing in detail about that. So now these are the different type of applications which we have it. Now let me take you through what what are what you meant by this particular desktop applications. Now, if you wanted to understand this one, so we need to go for one more topic, which is ISO layers. I think this is one of the 16 marks question in our BTech. Probably not, I don't know, but when I was reading at 2006-7, so at that point of time, so you'll be probably having it in the BTech, we have this particular question as a 16 marks question for us. Now, in this, what is this ISO layers? If you see here, so these are the ISO layers. Okay. So these are the 7 layers which will be having the part of ISO layer. For an example, this is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, application layer. So there are 7 layers which we need to do it. Means, for an example, if we wanted to design any particular application, so we will be having these particular 7 layers. But now, if we wanted to understand all these things, it will take certain time. So now what we have done is, out of this particular 7 layers, we have been classified the complete application into 3 layers. What are those particular 3 layers is layer number 1, which is presentation layer. Second one, business logic layer. See, if you understand this, you can understand this within fraction of minutes. If you don't understand this one, you can't understand this. So please do concentrate on this. Business logic layer. And the third one is DB, database layer. Okay, so now you have 3 layers, which is presentation layer, business logic layer, DB layer. Now, what do you mean by presentation layer? So when it comes to this particular presentation layer, it talks about whatever the things which we are able to see with our naked eye. So this is called presentation layer. Hence, for an example, now I open a particular application. So now let me open something. I open this particular Grow. Okay, rather than this Grow, I'll open any other applications. I open Gamma. Okay, so now this is now whatever the things which I'm trying to see it. So this is what the presentation layer which I'm seeing it means. I can see these particular objects and I can click on this one, or I can can see these all things, means whichever the things which I'm able to see the GUI to my naked eye. So this is called the presentation layer, means the application which I'm able to see it with the things. Now you take any application, any category of application. So either you can take the Gmail, or you can take the Outlook, or whatever the things which you wanted to see on this one. So now this is the Outlook, right? So now this is the Outlook mails which I'm trying to see on this. So this is another layer. This is a presentation layer. So now presentation layer is nothing but if you are able to see from means now we are seeing that particular application, right? So this is called as the presentation layer. And business logic layer. Business logic layer means here any particular calculations or any particular business logic is working, then this is called as a business logic layer. And database layer, the name itself, it was trying to say that I'll be means database means we have data to store, so then that is called database. Now if I'm having that particular data which I wanted to store or using it, so then that is called database layer. Means in the database layer I'll be storing my data. In this business logic layer I'll be calculating or making some business logics in that particular layer. And then presentation layer is what I'm seeing for this one. So for this one I'll give a quick example so that you can clearly understand what is business logic layer, presentation layer, and then DB layer. So now if I'm taking a particular application called calculator, so now this is the best simple example, so that's the reason I just wanted to take this one. Now we are able to see this 0 to 9, and you are seeing all the different symbols in this particular calculator. So now this is what our UI layer or the presentation layer. Now you are able to see this all. So now this is what our presentation layer. And now what I did is I have been given this one into 4. Now you see it, I have given some certain number multiplied with certain number. Now I click the equal to. Now what it happened in the backend, in the backside, it calculated this particular calculation and then it has been displayed back me to this number. So this is what the business logic layer. In the business logic layer, what it happened is it taken the inputs, it calculated that, and then it displayed back to me. So now if you see here, I have been done another calculation. So now if I given a certain number, it takes my inputs and it calculated in the backend and it given me the output over here. So this is called business logic layer. And now I have another layer, so which is a DB layer, right? So now if you see here, this is the first time I have been made the calculation, right? So 2536 into 45. Next one, 555 into 5588. So this is the, so now this stores this particular data, the recent data. So now it is storing this particular data, so which is called the database layer. Very simple to understand. Presentation layer is nothing but which we see with our naked eye and perform certain actions and give the inputs is called presentation layer. Now, when it comes to the business logic layer, based upon these particular inputs, performing certain calculations and reverting back to the presentation layer, and this is called the business logic layer, where we perform calculations in the business logic validations. And next one would be the DB layer, where we will be storing certain data and then we'll making to the processing that particular data. Means for an example, if you have been stored your username, password, or any particular thing you wanted to store that particular data, then that would be called as a database layer. So now if you see here, with these particular 3 layers, we are going to understand all these particular architectures. Now, question number 1, why should we know about these particular applications? What is the purpose to learn this means different type of applications? Why? What is the purpose? Why should we know about this different type of applications?
Application works according.
Which applications have business layer and database layer? Which application not to have those 3 types of layers? That one we need to know. Maybe because of that. So how the work business layer, how the work database layer. So when we give any search, when we do any searching, how the business layer and database fetching the answer and how it is giving. So I don't
Okay,
know.
fine. Anyone else?
It will help us to find to know the testing according to the environment.
This is not environment, right?
That means
Sir,
connected.
validating the application according to requirement.
That is called testing, right?
Um,
Validating according to the requirement is called testing.
Sir, we use applications to make our work easy.
What it will make you easy? There is a desktop application. I'm not asking you what is the usage of this particular applications. I'm asking you why should we know or why should we learn this different type of applications?
Sir, everyone has different requirements. We build the testing model. We will do the testing according to the required model. So
Okay.
we have to know about the architecture. So we have the proper knowledge on it.
See, why should we know about these different type of applications is while you're testing the different architectures or different tires, the testing procedure will change. For all these things, we'll not have one single testing procedure. If when you're testing the mobile applications, your testing process is different. When you're testing your web applications, your testing approach would be different. Process and approaches, or your validations, means what you're going to validate, that validations will change, the process will change,
and tools also will differ.
tools also would be changed. So these all things would be changed according to each layer. You will be having a different procedures and the processes, or this is called procedures will be calling as SOPs. Hey, how to test web applications, how to test mobile applications, how to test desktop applications, how to test distributed network architecture applications. So every layer will have a different approach, different procedures, different processes, different validations, different tools. So that is the reason we need to know what are the different type of applications. As soon as you joined any organization, first we should know understand what is the SDLC they are following it, what is the SDLC they are following it, and all the TCLCs and all the life cycles we need to know about it. Next, you should know about what type of applications we are going to test it. This is the first prerequisite questions you need to ask them, because based upon these particular things, your testing procedure would be defined. So that's the reason these are really very important for us, and which environments we have it. So these are the prerequisite questions. First, what are the applications we have? What are the different type of applications? Hey, I need to do only the web applications, or I need to do the web API, mobile, everything I need to do it. So you need to understand that, because this particular course only talks about web applications. But once you come out, means so we will be having different layers, right? So we will be talking about the desktop automation, mobile automation. So these are completely different subjects. See, now in the BTech, we will be having the first year common, and then from the second year, it will be differentiated, right? According to the branches. Now we have tripling, EC, IT, CS. Now you'll be having, according to the branch, it will be trained. Now this entire course, we'll be knowing about these applications, but we will be trying to concentrate only from the web applications. Because if you wanted to learn the desktop automation or mobile automation, it will take some more time for it. So first of all, we should know about these particular segregations at the base rule, because based on that one, your testing approach, procedures, everything would be getting changed. That is the reason we wanted to know about these different type of applications. Okay, so for any particular application, we will be having these particular layers, which is presentation layer, business logic layer, DB layer. Now, holistically, what we have discussed is what are the different types of applications we have. This question we have been answered. Why should we learn this particular topic? We have been answered. And what are the layers we will be having for this particular any type of applications? Layers we have been discussed. So first one, means third one, and Y is what the second one. So these are the three topics which we have been discussed now. Any questions on these three topics before explaining? So now we'll go now one by one. What is desktop applications or one-tier architecture, two-tier architecture? So before addressing that one, any questions in these particular three items? No questions. Okay. So now, when it comes to the standalone application or the desktop application, what do you mean by one-tier architecture, standalone or the desktop application means? If I have presentation layer, business logic layer, and DB layer, all these layers together in one particular system itself, means in your laptop itself, if you have all these three, means presentation layer, business logic layer, DB layer, everything in one layer, then this is called as one tier architecture or standalone application, desktop application. In the same system, if I'm able to have presentation layer, business logic layer, database layer. So example which I have been given, it is a calculator. So I have my presentation layer in the same system. I have my business logic layer in the same system. I have my database layer also in the same system. So then this is called desktop layer. So desktop application or a standalone application or one tier architecture. Now you've seen it, right? How easy to understand this one. So if you understand these particular three layers, it is pretty simple to understand these particular all the layers. So now we have been discussed about this particular one tier architecture. So one tier architecture is also known as standalone applications or the desktop applications. Now, when means what is desktop applications or the standalone application is? So when we have the presentation layer, business logic layer, and then DB layer all together into a single physical machine, in a single physical machine, then this is called one tier applications or desktop applications. So now coming back to the two-tier architecture. So here you need to first understand the name itself. This is one tier, means in a single tier, every means all the layers would be there, which is the presentation, business logic, and DB layer. Everything in a single layer. Then this is called one tier architecture, which are called as a desktop applications. Now it is saying that two tier means I'll be having two tiers. So two tier means it is not tier. This is tier. So TIER. Okay. So now when it comes to two tier, so you have two tiers here. Now my presentation layer would be in one tier, and then my business logic layer and database layer in another tier. So then this is called two-tier architecture. Now here I'll be having this presentation layer, which is called as a client, and then this is called as a server. So now in the server, I'll be having this business logic layer and then DB layer. So then this is called as a client server architecture. Now let me give you some more details because people might be confusing what is this particular server. The name itself, it was saying that server. For example, you go for a hotel, right? Or restaurant. I'm talking about in a restaurant, you went for a restaurant. And a server will come and then he'll be asking, sir, how can I help you? Or what I need to serve for you. I'll say that, hey, go and bring me one quick pani puri. Then I informed him so that he went and then he'll be bringing them. Now, what is the purpose of a server? He takes the request and then he serves, which is a response. Request he takes, he serves with the response. So server, what is the purpose of a server? That's it. It takes request, it gives back the response. This is what a server purpose. See, that is what the hotel server will do, right? He takes the command and he go to the kitchen and get that particular thing and he gives to me. So now inside the kitchen, what they do, it doesn't really matter for me. I asked, hey, give me this. He went, he prepared that one from the kitchen and he responded back to me delivering that. So that is basic purpose of a server. Now server means what? Server means it's a big machine. See, even your laptop also can make as a server. So server is nothing but it can have a good system configurations. Now, what is your system configuration? A 16 GB RAM and 1 terabyte hard disk, and then i7 processor and Windows 11. So now this is what your system configuration, right? There they will be, for a server, they will be having 64 GB RAM, 100 terabytes with a octa-core processor, and then they'll be having Windows Server operating system. So the configuration of that particular server would be bigger because in your laptop only you would be accessing it, but the server can be accessed by multiple people, right? It need to serve with the multiple people. So that is the reason the server will have a good configuration. That is also a simple system. How you maintain your CPU or your laptop, the same way you'll be having a physical machine which is having a high configurations. So that machine is called as a server. What is the purpose of a server? It takes the command and it responds you back. That's it. So that is what this server. Now the client means the presentation layer. You are seeing the presentation layer, but the business logic layer and the database layer would be in another tier. So which is what in the server. So this is what the client layer, and then this is what the server layer. So now from here, this tier to this tier, so it will reach, and then it will get that particular business logic calculations and implementations and all these things, and then come back, and then it will perform that action. See, for an example, now I entered from the presentation layer, I entered my username and password, click the login button. Then it went to the backend with the help of this business logic layer. It validates that username and password. It hits the DB and checks whether this particular username password is there or not. If it is there, then it will respond back saying that, hey, you are authenticated to enter into the application. Or it will, if you are not authenticated, then it will say that, hey, your username doesn't exist or your username password is wrong. So with the error message, it will respond, or with a success message, it will be responding. So that is what the purpose of the server. So we requested to the server, and server will be responding back with that particular information. So this is called client server architecture. So now this is a two-tier architecture, two-tier application. So now in this particular two-tier architecture, the client would be presented in the presentation layer, and then in the server layer, we'll be having business logic layer and the DB layer, and then we would be accessing that particular request and responses and then delivering it. So this is how the client server architecture will run. Guys, why we need to understand these things is, I don't want to name the name of the company. It's one of the biggest company in the world, not in India. That's an innovation center. Recently, I went there and I was talking to a person who is having around 25 years of experience. And I was talking, means I was asking him the prerequisite question, hey, what category of applications I need to test for you? Then he said that, yeah, we have the desktop applications and then web architectures. Then I asked him, yes, hey, are you talking about the one-tier architecture and then doing it? He was saying that, no, I'm talking about desktop applications. I'm saying that, yeah, one-tier architecture is nothing but desktop applications. So I'm trying to say that. No. I'm purely talking about a pure desktop applications. Okay, I'm saying that, okay, fine, that's a desktop application where we have all the layers inside this one. No. I'm talking about pure desktop applications. See, why I'm saying this, I'm not trying to degrade or anyone here. My intention is not to say that if you don't understand exactly these particular things, you will really become, it would be like stupidity in front of all other people. So when we talking about these particular terminologies, three-tier applications, two-tier applications, you should able to understand what type of application. If you don't even understand what type of application is mine, then how can you test my application? That's ridiculous, right? If you don't understand what type of application is mine, then how you would be test my application? So this is really important that you need to know about these things. Actually speaking, nowadays we don't see any particular desktop applications, but before 10 years almost you see this desktop applications and then CS, which is a client server applications. Web applications, we don't have it. So not 10 years, 15 years, probably in 2005 or in that means that particular decade. So after 10, you'll have seen many applications. Now you see everything is on web applications. Now from the web applications, mostly it migrated to the mobile apps. Now all mobile apps are also now AI tools. So now that is what the generation, the 10 generation trends, it changed. So previously it used to have desktop applications. Then from the desktop applications, the biggest chain, railway chain, which is IRCTC, it used to be in the two-tier architecture. Many scams can be happen because of this two-tier architecture. We're talking about this railway IRCTC. Even you see in the NSE, BSE, stock market exchange. The exchanges are on the client server architectures. Now it changed everything. A lot of scams happen based on this. See, why we wanted to understand this. Even still now, some companies will have this legacy applications, desktop applications in the client server architecture. So you should know how to test them. So that is what the reason you should know, understand what are the different type of applications we have it. And here you can see that, for an example now, to give you more information on this particular client server architecture. So this is the best suited for internet cafes. Right, in an internet cave, you want to, means, I don't know whether you people used nowadays, none of the internet caves are there, but before 10 to 15, not even 10 to 15 years, yeah, at that point of time, used to have internet cave. So in the internet cave, this would be the counter. This guy will sit here, and he would be having the different systems and different QPs. So now in this particular QPS, so the people would be accessing this particular system. Now, if they wanted anything means a printer or print, they will send to this guy, and then this guy will take that particular thing, and then he will take the printer, and then he can give it to you. So these all systems are connected in intranet. We have the concept of internet. Internet means throughout the world, from wherever you wanted to access something, you can access it. So that is called internet. Intranet is for a particular network. Only in this network they can access that particular files. See, now outsider, if they wanted to access this one, it is not possible, because this is what, so now it is having that LAN, and here this is WAN, wide area network, local area network. I don't want to go to the networking classes and all the stuff, but still at least basic you should understand. So now client server architecture was completely implemented on the LAN. Means you'll be having the major server, and we'll have the different clients. This is client 1, client 2, client 3. So now this is the two-tier architecture, right? All this is one-tier architecture, and then this is what the two-tier, the second architecture, which we are talking about it. So this is one-tier architecture, and this is two-tier architecture. Here we have presentation layer, here we have DB layer, and then the business logic layers. So this is how the client server architecture was defined in the intranet. Intranet means it accesses only in this particular network, not outside. Many of the companies that used to be there in the intranet only. They used not to provide the internet. But nowadays, none of the companies even thought about this intranet. Everything was into the internet. But still, there are certain companies. They used to have what is this intranet, and then for this particular two-tier architecture, they are still using it, even desktop applications, and then these particular two-tier architectures. So this is what the evolution from the desktop applications, everything is changed to the two-tier, and from two-tier to three-tier, and three-tier to distributed network, mobile applications, and now it is completely into the AI applications. So this is how the expansion and the evolution of this particular technology happened for it. Okay, so till here, now what we have been completed is one-tier architecture and two-tier architecture. What is client server architecture and what is the standalone architecture is what we have been discussed now. Any questions on this? And with an examples also we have been seeing. So here we have been taken the example of a calculator, and here we have been taken the example of internet cafe. Any questions on this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So now Coming back to the three-tier architecture. Okay, so this is one of the most important revolution which it has been made, which is like web applications. So three-tier architectures is called an web application. Now it will have three tiers. Now in this one, so in one layer, I'll be having my presentation layer. Another layer, I'll be having my DB layer. Another layer, I'll be having my business logic layer. So that's the reason this is called as three-tier application. For example, for this one, you take any particular applications now, whichever the web applications which you're trying to see on this one. So these are called as web applications. Now, usually I'll take the example for this one has a Gmail. So you can see the Gmail for this one. So these are the Gmail applications, right? Now, in this particular Gmail applications, okay. So the Gmail application. So now when you see this particular Gmail applications, you need to understand one specific thing. So here, so here, our presentation layer would be in a different, and then our business logic layer would be in a different, and then our DB layer would be in a different. So now let's take this Gmail. Now I have been opened the Gmail here. Okay. So now I'm in Chennai. In Chennai, I have opened my presentation layer with all these mails. So now this particular information should store somewhere else, right? Now, for an example, you wanted to see your pictures in your mobile phone. So first of all, you should take that picture and then it should be stored in your internal or external memory so that when you open your phone, you can see that particular memory. So you can see that particular photo or picture, right? Now I need to store this, right? All these particular mails and the data have been stored in the DB. So now this is in different geographical locations. Somewhere else they have been stored. Means my Gmail, the Google team has been stored this one in a different geographical location. Example, they have been stored this one, everything in the South America. They have been stored this one. And when I'm clicking on the inbox, I should able to get my inbox mails. And when I open the trash, I should able to see the trash. So now what it was trying to do it will reach to the business logic layer and it gives the request that, hey, show me the inbox. Then this business logic will go to the DB, fetch that particular data and respond back to the front end layer. So now if you see here, now when I have been clicked on uh, sent mail or the draft, so now it will show me the draft mails. If I click on the inbox, it will show me the inbox. If I click on this one, it will be showing me this particular promotion mails. If I click on the social, so then it will be giving the social media mails. This is a business, this is a logic, right? When I click on this one, it should able to show me this particular details. When I click on promotions, I should able to see this particular promotions. So that is how this particular logic would be based on this particular logic. It will fetch the data and present it back. But here you are seeing it within fraction of, not even fraction, within nanoseconds you are seeing the data. You know what? When this started Google, I think it started in 90s, right? So I don't exactly remember the year. It taken to fetch the data. Means for an example now, if I have been searching for something, so if you see here, now I'm
No.
Hello.
Team, please
anyone
wait. Huh?
resource?
Yes, yes, please wait. Was the session?
Can someone ping in the group?